Okay, let's unpack this. In today's interconnected cloud world, specifically within AWS, managing access across different accounts isn't just, a technical detail. It's actually a powerful enabler for innovation.
Absolutely.
But, and this is a big but, it's also one of the trickiest security challenges out there.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something absolutely critical: how to secure and govern cross-account IAM roles. Now, this isn't just theory. It's a common, crucial question that hits home for DevOps and cloud engineers, especially in high-stakes situations like job interviews.
Definitely see that one come up a lot.
Right. So our mission: to arm you with a clear, structured understanding of this topic so you're not just informed, but genuinely confident when you encounter it. We've brought in an expert to help us untangle all those complex technical details and translate them into truly practical, actionable advice.
Yeah, thanks for having me. What's fascinating here is that while cross-account roles are indispensable for legitimate business needs, they allow powerful integrations, flexible architectures, they often become significant attack vectors, if not handled with precision.
Precision, that's the key word.
Exactly. When you're talking about cloud security, understanding these mechanisms isn't just an advantage, it's really a necessity. Think of this deep dive as your practical guide, refining your answers to those challenging questions about AWS security.
All right, let's get you that quick, high-level answer first for those moments when you need to make an immediate impact. The central interview question we're tackling today is this: how do you approach securing and governing cross-account IAM roles in a multi-account AWS environment?
Okay. So in a nutshell, securing cross-account IAM roles primarily revolves around two pillars: continuous external access monitoring and rigorous least privilege policy enforcement.
Two pillars. Got it.
Right. We tackle this by leveraging tools like AWS IAM Access Analyzer. That's AWS's own service designed to help you identify resources shared externally for proactive detection of unintended access. Then we complement this with Policy Sentry, which is a great open source tool for creating and validating least privilege IAM policies.
Proactive detection and least privilege.
That's precisely. And this combination, it's reinforced by automated remediation, usually via AWS Event Bridge and Lambda functions, plus strong governance through service control policies or SCPs and extensive cloud trail monitoring. It creates a robust kind of defense in depth approach.
Defense in depth. I like that.
At its core, it's about transforming what used to be, reactive security reviews into proactive automated governance, getting ahead of the problem.
That's a powerful summary. Building on that high-level view, I'm curious about the specific technical components that make this defense-in-depth approach work. Where do we begin with the architecture? Let's sort of unpack that.
Right. Well, first, let's truly understand why this is such a significant challenge. Cross-account IAM roles are fundamental for so many legitimate scenarios in a multi-account AWS setup.
Like third-party tools.
Exactly. Integrating with third-party services, providing access to shared services like a central logging account, or orchestrating complex workflows across different business units, they're everywhere. But this immense flexibility introduces a fundamental security risk: the complexity of trust relationships. Imagine granting someone a key to your house, but accidentally making a copy that works for your neighbor's house too.
Oof, not good.
Not good at all. A single misconfigured trust policy that's the part of an IAM role defining who can assume it can inadvertently grant access to external AWS accounts you never intended to trust, or even to compromise identities or overprivileged apps within your own environment.
And this isn't just theoretical, right?
No, not at all. AWS's own security research has highlighted this. It indicates that a staggering 96% of organizations have secrets scattered across their environments. And often, these cross-account roles become the very pathways for lateral movement during a security incident.
Letting an attacker move deeper into your systems.
Exactly, which is why securing them is so critical.
Okay, so if there's such a potential attack vector, where do we start with our foundational layer for defense? Beyond just being careful with configuration, I mean.
Our foundational layer, our first line of defense, is definitely AWS IAM Access Analyzer. It's designed specifically for continuous external access monitoring.
Continuous monitoring.
Key.
Absolutely. The core concept here is establishing your zone of trust. Access Analyzer treats your AWS organization, your collection of accounts, or maybe just a specific account, if you said it that way, as your trusted boundary.
Okay.
Anything that grants access to an entity outside that trusted boundary gets flagged as a finding. This automated approach is, frankly, a game changer.
Because it eliminates the need for manual, painstaking policy review across potentially thousands of cross-account roles in a large enterprise. Without it, you're basically looking for a needle in a haystack, trying to manually review every single access policy. It's just not scalable.
That sounds incredibly powerful for finding problems before they become, actual breaches. But given the scale of some AWS environments, does it generate a lot of noise? How do teams typically prioritize or sort of filter those findings?
That's a really good question. Access Analyzer does generate specific finding types, but they are directly relevant to cross-account role security, and importantly, they come with severity levels. That helps a lot with prioritization.
Okay, like what types?
For instance, you have external access findings. Those are critical. They mean a role can be assumed by accounts completely outside your defined organization.
Definitely want to know about those.
Right. Then there's unused access. This points to overprivileged roles with permissions that haven't been used recently. Those are high priority because they represent potential attack surface just sitting there.
Makes sense. Dormant risk.
Exactly. Public access findings are also critical. These identify roles with wildcard principles, basically granting access to anyone on the internet. Almost never what you want for cross-account roles.
Almost never, yeah.
And finally, there's cross-account resource access, which indicates your resources are accessible via external roles. That's typically medium priority. Understanding these categories helps you focus your security efforts where they matter most, and you can deploy it org-wide or per account, constantly scanning.
Okay, so Access Analyzer tells us what's wrong or what could be wrong, but how do we ensure we're creating policies that are right in the first place?
Right.
How do we really enforce that crucial principle of least privilege, giving only the permissions absolutely necessary?
Ah, yes. That's where Policy Sentry comes in. It complements Access Analyzer perfectly. It helps shift you from that reactive fix-it-when-it-breaks mode to a more proactive don't-create-the-vulnerability approach.
Proactive, I like that. How does it work?
Policy Sentry's strength is its IAM database-driven approach. Think of it like a smart translator for AWS permissions. Instead of you trying to guess the exact minimal permissions needed for a task and probably granting too much, it automatically looks up just what's necessary based on the actions you intend to allow.
So it prevents over-permissioning by default.
Pretty much. It helps you avoid those overly broad wildcard permissions like S3 on DADE, which we unfortunately see quite often in cross-account roles. It has two main functions, conceptually. You can use it to write policy, generate new least privilege policies tailored to your exact needs.
Okay.
And you can use Analyze Policy to validate your existing cross-account role policies against least privilege best practices. It's really a mindset shift in how you build IAM policies.
So we've got tools to identify issues like Access Analyzer and tools to build better policies like Policy Sentry. But identifying an issue isn't the same as fixing it, right? Especially in a fast-moving cloud environment where manual processes just can't keep up.
You're absolutely right.
How do we make sure these findings get acted upon quickly and consistently?
This is where automated remediation workflows become absolutely critical. You just can't rely on manual intervention for every finding, especially not at scale.
So automation is key.
Non-negotiable, really. AWS provides some incredibly useful pre-built integration patterns using EventBridge and Lambda for immediate remediation.
Could walk me through that flow.
Sure. The flow is pretty straightforward. EventBridge, which is AWS's serverless event bus, detects an access analyzer finding, let's say an external access finding for an IAM role.
Right.
This event then triggers a Lambda function, AWS's serverless compute. The Lambda code extracts the finding details, identifies the specific role and the unintended external principal. And then, this is the crucial part, it programmatically updates the role's trust policy to add an explicit deny statement for that specific external account. It acts like an immediate firewall, blocking that unintended access path.
Wow, okay. So it fixes it right away.
Exactly. It provides immediate protection against that unintended cross-account access, while still preserving the audit trails for your security team to review later if needed. It drastically reduces your response time, often from hours or days down to seconds.
That's fantastic for immediate reactive protection.
Yeah.
But ideally, we want to stop these dangerous configurations from even getting into our environment in the first place.
That's the goal.
How do we integrate this kind of proactive validation into our development lifecycle, our CI/CD pipelines?
Great point. For continuous proactive validation, you integrate Policy Sentry directly into your CI/CD pipelines. Think of it as a quality gate for your IAM policies, just like you have quality gates for your application code.
Like a lint checker, but for IAM.
Kind of, yeah, but more sophisticated. A practical workflow might involve a recurring job in your CI/CD system, maybe a cron job using GitHub Actions or Jenkins or whatever you use. This job would, say, enumerate all your cross-account roles, maybe based on tags or naming conventions. It pulls their attached policies and then uses Policy Sentry's Analyze Policy function to check each one for compliance and least privilege adherence.
Before it even gets deployed.
Ideally, yes, or as a continuous check on what's already deployed. You can even combine these Policy Sentry analyses with your ongoing Access Analyzer findings to generate a comprehensive compliance report. This gives you a full picture of your security posture before things go live or catches drift quickly. It helps stop issues before they ever become a production vulnerability.
This sounds like a really robust technical framework for individual accounts or maybe small teams. But what about scaling this across large organizations, places with dozens, maybe hundreds of AWS accounts?
Yeah.
How do we approach governance at that multi-account level?
Yeah, multi-account governance is paramount as organizations grow. It's a whole different ballgame. For those enterprise environments, the AWS organization's integration with Access Analyzer is incredibly powerful. It gives you that centralized monitoring.
How does that work?
You can designate a specific account, often called a security audit or governance account, as a delegated administrator for Access Analyzer for your entire organization.
Central hub.
Exactly. You deploy an organization-wide Access Analyzer from there. This gives you truly centralized visibility across your entire AWS footprint, ensuring you catch issues no matter which account they originate in. You're not relying on each account team to set it up correctly.
That's huge for consistency.
Absolutely. But beyond just monitoring, you also need strong preventative controls at that level. And that's where service control policies, or SCPs, really shine.
Yeah, SCPs, right. These are like guardrails for your organization.
Precisely. SCPs are powerful guardrails that can restrict dangerous actions or configurations before they're even attempted across any account in your org or specific OUs. For cross-account roles, they're invaluable.
What kind of things can you restrict?
Well, for example, you could implement an SCP that outright prevents any IAM role from being created or updated if its trust policy contains a wildcard principle, like principal, right? That effectively blocks potentially public roles at the organizational level. No mistakes possible.
Nice. Stop it before it starts.
Exactly. Another crucial one is requiring an external ID for third-party cross-account roles. You can write an SCP that denies role creation or updates if the trust policy involves an external account, unless a condition key requiring audits. External ID is also present.
And that prevents the confused deputy problem.
That's the one. It adds a crucial layer of security when dealing with external entities. These SCPs act as a strong enforcement layer, preventing common risky mistakes before they can even be made by anyone in any account.
So we're building securely, we're monitoring continuously, we're preventing risky configurations with SCPs. How do we actually measure the effectiveness of all these efforts? What does operational excellence look like in this context? How do we prove it's working?
That's a critical piece. Operational excellence here means you're continuously monitoring and, crucially, measuring your security posture. You need data.
So where do we get that data?
For cross-account role activity, AWS CloudTrail is indispensable. It provides detailed auditing of every single cross-account role assumption event. You can see who assumed a role, from which account or IP, when, and what actions they took while assuming that role.
The audit trail.
The definitive audit trail. This granular logging is absolutely critical for detecting suspicious activity or unauthorized use of these roles. But logs alone aren't enough. You need measurable security metrics and key performance indicators, KPIs.
Right, the KPIs.
These help you track your progress, demonstrate the effectiveness of your governance program to leadership, and importantly, identify areas where you still need improvement.
Okay, so what are some of those key metrics we should be tracking? What should people focus on to show real progress?
Good question. You should definitely track things like unintended external access. Your target there should be 0 active findings from Access Analyzer related to external principals outside your org.
0 tolerance for that one.
Absolutely. Then monitor overprivileged roles. Aim for, say, less than 5% of your total roles having excessive permissions, which you can measure periodically using Policy Sentry analysis across your roles.
Okay, under 5%.
Keep an eye on missing external IDs for third-party roles. Target 0 for those. You might need some custom CloudTrail analysis or config checks for that. Also track unused cross-account permissions. Aim for maybe less than 10% of permissions being unused, which you can get data for from Access Analyzer's unused access feature.
Unused permissions, right. attack surface reduction.
Exactly. And finally, a crucial operational metric is mean time to remediation, or MTTR, for critical findings, like that external access one. Target getting that under, say, 4 hours, maybe even faster with full automation. You track that from the event bridge detection to the Lambda remediation completion.
Those metrics give you a really tangible measure of your security health.
They do. They show you're not just busy, you're effective.
These metrics clearly tie security efforts to real, tangible results. But often, security is seen as a cost center, right?
Yeah.
How do you justify the investment in all these tools, the automation development, the monitoring processes, to leadership? What's the measurable ROI here?
That's often the toughest conversation, but it's essential. You have to connect these security investments directly to risk mitigation and a measurable return on investment. Cross-account role security breaches aren't just theoretical vulnerabilities. They have significant quantifiable financial impacts: recovery costs, fines, lost business, reputation.
So frame it in terms of cost avoidance.
Exactly. Look, an investment in Access Analyzer, maybe it costs a few $1,000s a year depending on usage, but it directly helps prevent external access breaches. That helps you avoid potential incident costs that could easily run into hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe more.
Okay, that's a clear ROI.
Right. Policy Sentry automation, maybe it takes some developer time, let's say $5,000 worth, to integrate into pipelines. But if it reduces overprivilege significantly, maybe by 80%, it saves you potentially tens of thousands in manual security review time and reduces your risk exposure.
Makes sense.
Automated remediation via Lambda and Event Bridge. The infrastructure cost is minimal, pennies maybe, but if it improves your MTTR for critical issues to under 4 hours, that could save you $100,000 or more in incident response costs during a real event, just by containing it faster.
Huge leverage there.
And overall continuous monitoring, maybe there's an operational overhead, let's say $8,000 a year for someone's time. But if it gives you 95% coverage on detecting these kinds of findings early, that's key to preventing those major breaches that could cost massive amounts. The ROI isn't just about saving money directly, it's about building a resilient, secure cloud environment that actually enables the business to innovate safely. It's risk reduction.
So what does this all mean? That was a truly comprehensive deep dive into securing cross-account IAM roles. I feel like you've equipped us not just with theory, but with practical steps for both applying this and talking about it confidently.
Absolutely. That's the goal. If you take away anything from this deep dive, especially when you're preparing for those critical conversations like interviews, remember these core principles.
Okay, let's hear the key takeaways.
First, defense in depth is paramount.
Yeah.
A really robust strategy combines that continuous external access monitoring using tools like Access Analyzer with rigorous least privilege policy enforcement using something like Policy Sentry. They work together.
Got it. Monitor and enforce.
Second, automation is non-negotiable. Seriously. Automated remediation via Event Bridge and Lambda gives you immediate protection, it reduces human error, and it drastically accelerates your response time to findings. You can't scale manually.
Automate the response.
Third, proactive governance prevents pain. Integrate Policy Sentry into your CI/CD pipelines to catch issues early, and leverage service control policies, those SCPs, to prevent dangerous configurations before they even arise. Act as strong organizational guardrails.
Be proactive, use guardrails.
Fourth, comprehensive visibility is your superpower. Use AWS organizations for that centralized auditing across your whole cloud footprint. And rely on CloudTrail for detailed activity monitoring to catch any suspicious behaviors with those roles. See everything.
Visibility is key.
And finally, number 5, measure what matters to show impact. Define and consistently track the security metrics and KPIs we talked about. This demonstrates the effectiveness and, crucially, the measurable ROI of your cross-account role governance program. Prove its value.
Defense in depth, automation, proactive governance, visibility, and metrics. That's an incredible framework to have in your toolkit. Not only for interviews, like we said, but for actually building more secure AWS environments day to day. It really underscores that security isn't just about buying tools, but about implementing a holistic strategy.
Well put. That's all for this topic. Stay tuned for the next DevOps Cloud interview question.